Hello my dear students, welcome back to the class. I am Soeb Alam, your history teacher. So we have done two parts from this chapter and now the remaining part we are going to do it. So today we will be discussing about the national movement during the Second World War, the developments which took place during the Second World War. But we need to recap the chapters or the topics which I taught you last time. That was the Government of India Act 1935 and after that election of 1937. So the main story of the partition and the two nation theory starts with the results of the election of 1937. It was very much clear and apparent that in 1937 the Muslim League was not in a very good position. A League did not get a single seat in the northwest frontier provinces, and due to the setback in the election of 1937, the Muslim League was now very much insecure. The leaders of the Muslim League now started a propaganda to instill hatred in the minds of the Muslims by spreading a false propaganda that Muslims will be dominated under the Congress Raj. Congress will dominate them. They will be leading a secondary life in their own country. That is why Jinnah was very much in doubt regarding the support which he will get from the Muslims or not. So in order to get the support of the Muslims, he started a false propaganda and then he decided to go for a day of deliverance. Now Jinnah very much felt that Muslim League had no influence among the Muslim community, among the common Muslim people. Jinnah now decided to start a campaign to popularize the League among the Muslim masses. Side by side, Muslim League also started a campaign against the Congress, which was shown to have represented Hindu Raj and hostile to the Muslim people. So when Congress ministers resigned in the year 1939, why did they resign? We'll discuss again in detail. In 1939, the Second World War started, and without taking the Congress ministers into confidence, Britain dragged India into the war. That is why the ministers, they resigned, and Muslim League became very happy with that. And on 22nd of December 1939, they declared it as a day of deliverance and expressed relief that a Congress regime had at last come to an end. When the Congress resigned, they felt that the Congress regime finally had come to an end. So slowly and gradually, it became very much clear among the Muslims that Muslims would resist any sort of political settlement imposed on them against their will. So many of the ministers, like the Prime Minister of Punjab and Prime Minister of Bengal and Assam, they supported Jinnah fully. Okay, that means the Prime Minister of Punjab, Bengal and Assam and the leaders of the Muslims in the Congress ruled provinces now rallied under the leadership of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Okay, and in the year 1940, when the Lahore session was held, and the Lahore session, Jinnah came up with the two nation theory. Two nation theory means they now decided to, they expressed that they wanted a separate state separated from India. So regarding the two nation theory, he discussed in the Lahore session of the League. Okay. Now let us try to understand about some of the unknown facts about two nation theory and who coined this theory and what was the proposal like. It has been mentioned that Muhammad Iqbal, who was a non-Urdu poet, he first conceived the idea of a separate state. He was the one to conceive a separate state idea. When the session was held at Allahabad, a Muslim League session was held in the year 1930 in Allahabad. Okay, he demanded the creation of a separate Muslim state, or we can say he expressed his opinion regarding the creation of a Muslim state, and namely Northwest Muslim state. Okay, but from his speech it became very much clear that Iqbal, that means Muhammad Iqbal, actually wanted a reorganization of the Muslim majority area in Northwest Frontier Province. Okay, northwestern India, not the partition of India. He was not talking about the partition of India, but he wanted to reorganize the Muslim majority area in northwestern India. Okay, and then again, when this idea was spread, the group of young Muslim students of Cambridge University, okay, which was led by Rahmat Ali, propagated the idea of Muslim delegates who took part in the round table conference. They included the province of Punjab, Northwest Frontier Province, Kashmir, Sindh and Balochistan for a separate Muslim state. So the name of the proposed state would be Pakistan. It was discussed in that is Pakistan, taking the initial letters of those provinces and the last syllable of Balochistan. Okay, but this idea did not influence the Muslim leaders at that time. During that period, this idea was not at all influenced. So no one took this seriously at that time. So it was a time of 1930 I am talking about. Now it is 1940. So all of a sudden in 1940 the situation completely went against the Muslims, because the election of 1937 was not at all favorable for the Muslim League. They could not get a majority to form the government. In all the 14 provinces, out of 14, in 9 provinces, Congress ministers formed the government, and other 2 states, coalition government was formed by the Congress itself, and 2 was left out, that was Bengal and Punjab. So the Muslim League was very much worried regarding their position in India, what will be their future in India. So they now started to propagate or start a propaganda to get the support of the Muslims in their favor, and that was possible only when they spread a false rumor among the Muslims that the Muslims will be dominated or the Muslims will be in danger under the Congress Raj. That way they started a propaganda. So in the meantime, as you know that World War already had taken place, and 1939 the Congress minister resigned, for which the Muslim League was very, very happy. But during that time also the Congress gave full support to the British government during the war. They were not in a mood to disturb them during the war. They provided some sort of responsible provisional national government would be established after the end of the war. So for the future, what was the planning? The Gandhiji and other important leaders, they were of the opinion that this is not the right time to disturb the Britain during the war time. So Congress demanded, they had a conditional support to the British government on one condition, that if they are ready to provide them with a constituent assembly after the war. So Congress working committee, they took a decision that we are definitely going to support British government in the war, but under one condition, that they will be providing us with a constituent assembly. But during this period also, Subhash Chandra Bose, who was leading a forward bloc, he was not at all happy with the decision of the Congress. Though he did not belong to the Congress, already he had resigned from the Congress and he had started a forward bloc party. So he strongly opposed the idea of cooperation. Cooperation means the Congress wanted to cooperate them during the war. So they declared openly that, the Congress declared openly that they did not want Britain to win the war. Sorry, let me correct it. The Subhash Chandra Bose and the Forward Bloc party decided and clearly, openly declared that they were not in favor to support Britain during the war. They wanted the defeat of the British government. So once they are defeated, once they are broken up, once the British Empire breaks up into parts, then there is a hope of getting freedom or achieving freedom. And on the other hand, what was the stand of the Muslim League regarding the support of the British government? So they also passed a resolution promising support on condition that in future, if any of the constitutions are to be made, then they will be considered properly to protect their rights. Okay, made an approval that Muslim League, which was the only organization, will be asked regarding when they form the Constituent Assembly. Without their without their acceptance, without their approval, the constitution will not be passed. Okay, so the British government but that time was not at all ready to prepare. They were not at all prepared to make any conclusion or any concession immediately or make any promises, because they were very much disturbed during the war and they were very much involved in the Second World War. So anyhow, when this conditional acceptance was proposed in front of the Britishers and all, so from there also reply came on 8th of August 1940. On 8th of August 1940, Viceroy Lord Linlithgow, he came up with the announcement that the Viceroy came up with a suggestion that soon after the war, a dominant status would be granted to the Indians. Number one, dominant status would be granted to the Indians after the end of the war. Okay. Second one, Constituent Assembly would be set up. Okay, will be summoned to draft the new constitution. And number three, the interests and the rights of the Muslims would be safeguarded by the said constitution. Whichever constitution which will be made will safeguard the rights of the Muslims. Okay, and a few nominated Indian members would be included in the expanded Viceroy's Legislative Council, and the War Advisory Committee would be formed by the inclusive of native rulers to aid and advise the government. So this was all about the August Declaration, or which we know it as August Offer. This August Offer was flatly rejected by the Congress on certain grounds. Why did they reject the August Offer? Number one, there was no suggestion in the provision of the August Offer. There was no provision regarding the national government. There was no suggestion regarding the provisional national government, and it encouraged anti-Congress forces like the Muslim League. The Muslim League were encouraged with this proposal, so they rejected the August Offer. On the other hand, what about the Muslims? Did they accept this proposal? On the other hand, the Muslim League remained firm in the demand that they want Pakistan. They had already now made a clear intention that they now would be happy with the new state. Without that, they won't agree with any of the concessions. So it became very much clear that the Congress Working Committee was now very much clear that the British government are not at all ready to give a clear-cut indication what actually will be the future of India, whether they are going to fulfill the constitutional demand of the Congress or not. That is why in the year 1940, when the Ramgarh Congress session was held, okay, Gandhiji now decided to start an individual satyagraha, okay, and he also asked Acharya Vinoba Bhave to start a satyagraha, and he started the satyagraha on 17th of October 1940. This was an individual satyagraha. Before that, a civil disobedience movement we have studied in the previous class. So Gandhiji here proposed to start a individual satyagraha, in which individuals will start the satyagraha on their own. Okay, so this was the trend, this was the flow of the Indian National Congress. So on the other hand, as you know that what was the situation of the war in the year 1939, Second World War started, and the position of the World War was not in favor of the British government. So it was a turning point in the war, that British position was on a very bad side, that Japan had emerged as a powerful country after defeating or after occupying Poland, Belgium, Holland, okay, even France, okay, Holland, Norway, France, German attacked Russia on 22nd of that means June 1941. So this is all about the position of the war. And in the same year, Japan also joined the Axis powers. Okay, suddenly attacked the Pearl Harbor, the naval base of America, and with that Japan disturbed the sleeping giant, and America also was involved in the war due to that. But still, Japan, after capturing Philippines, Indochina, okay, Malaya, Burma, and marched towards Assam. That means they came very close to the Indian borders. They came very close to the Indian border. So right now the position of British government in India was not in their favor, because the protest movements were going on. Demands were not accepted by the British government. So British army was facing defeat after defeat. So in this situation, Russia and America and China asked the British government to consider the Indian demands, so that they may get the support of the Indians during the war. That will be the best for the British government. So in order to discuss on the issue of getting the support of the Indians during the war, Sir Stafford Cripps was sent to India, and the mission was known as Cripps Mission. Sir Stafford Cripps was sent to India. He was a member of a war cabinet, and he came to India on 22nd of March 1942, and he started discussing with the Indian leaders and the representatives of Congress, Muslim League, Hindu Mahasabha, and even the Harijans and the native rulers and the liberals were also there. So he had discussion with everyone, and he announced his proposal. What was his proposal? Before that, August offer was there. So now Cripps Mission, Sir Stafford Cripps came with a proposal. So what was the proposal? So one by one, again the same thing. Let me tell you. Number one, dominant status would be granted to the Indians soon after the war. After the war ends, dominant status would be granted to the Indians, and Indians would be given the right to cede away from the Commonwealth. The next one, immediately after the war, Constituent Assembly would be set up to draft the Constitution of India. Okay, and who will be the members of the Constituent Assembly? The members would consist of the British India as well as the native states. Okay, then the Constitution, whichever will be framed, my dear, would be adopted by the British government on one condition. And what was the condition? That if any of the Indian rulers, if any of the Indian provinces, if they desire to remain outside the Indian Union, then they can negotiate directly with the British government. That means if any of the Indian provinces they decide to remain outside the Indian Union, then those provincial rulers can directly negotiate with the British government. Okay, and then the last one, the defense and the military operation. That means the control of defense and military operation during the war period would be retained by the British government. So this was the proposal being placed by the Cripps Mission. Now, what happened to the Cripps Mission? So Congress also rejected, Muslim League also rejected it. Okay, so why did they reject? On what ground the Cripps Mission was rejected? One by one, let me tell you. Congress rejected the proposal because Congress demanded full independence, but Cripps now offered only dominant status. Okay, they demanded full independence, but the Cripps offered only dominant status, which Congress had already rejected in the year 1930. And the proposal wanted to create a cleavage or a separation. Like the Indian provinces were given the option, if they want to remain out of the Indian Union, they can directly negotiate with the British government. So that was the point which was not at all accepted by the Congress, because if this is to be followed, then each and every provinces, if they want to remain out of the Indian Union, then definitely the unity of India would be lost. That is why Congress rejected it. Okay, and the Indian native states were also given, that we discussed, given the right to cede from the Indian Empire. So if everyone cedes away from the Indian Union, then that is not going to be a good result. So, and then Muslim League, why did they reject the Cripps proposal? Simple, because the proposal did not ensure about Pakistan or the creation of Pakistan. There is no such discussion regarding the creation of Pakistan. Okay, and the Sikh and the depressed class, the Hindu Christians, the Anglo Indians demanded more safeguard for their communities. So due to all this, Cripps mission completely failed, because simple, Cripps mission failed to pacify the Indians. He could not, Cripps mission could not make the sections happy. So due to all this, Cripps mission completely failed. So what next? As you know that Japan has come very close to India. They are knocking the doors of India. So the Congress leaders, they were very much apprehensive that now what will happen if Japan attacks India. Okay, so there was a mixed feeling of fear and hope. There was a mixed feeling of fear and hope among the Congress leaders. So it was very much clear. They were of the apprehension that India might meet the fate like Malaya and Burma, and Japan would be the new imperialist. They will be under a new rule. Japan will be their rulers. So Nehru's anti-British attitude did not console Japan's aggression. So due to all this, Congress decided to start a movement. Okay, so due to frustration, due to hostility, due to fear and hope, the Congress Working Committee met on 14th July. Okay, and they discussed. After a long discussion, they came to the conclusion that they would be starting a movement to free the country from the British rule. Okay, so 14th of July they started the discussion, and they decided that on 8th of August will come to the conclusion what to be done. So finally on 8th of August 1942, Congress Working Committee passed a resolution which was known as Quit India Resolution. Quit India Resolution was passed by them. Okay, and then Gandhiji gave a clear call to the people of India to participate in the movement. His message to the countrymen was everyone is free to go to the fullest length under ahimsa. Fullest length but under ahimsa. Okay, and Satyagrahis must go out to die, not to live. So this was a clear call given to the Indian masses that you all come and join the movement. This is the last movement. We must free ourselves. Either we'll do or die. So 8th of August 1942, decision was taken. Gandhiji gave a message to the Indian masses. But the very next day, that is on 9th of August 1942, along with Gandhiji, other leaders were also arrested. Okay, that means most of the Indian leaders along with Gandhiji was arrested. So, and after that Congress was declared illegal also. When the news of the arrest of Gandhiji and other leaders spread, the movement turned more and more fierce and violent. Movement continued. The movement was completely leaderless. But during that time, what was the role played by the Muslim League? What was the role of the Communist Party? That is also very, very important. So though Congress Socialist Group joined the movement, Ram Manohar Lohia, okay, Jai Prakash Narayan, they were the one who were Congress Socialists. They guided the movement, okay, and even Aruna Asif Ali also was there. So they played a very, very important role during that time when the leaders were in the jail and the movement was leaderless. At that time, they tried to guide the movement to some extent. Okay, Muslim League denounced the Quit India Resolution. They completely denounced. Okay, they refused to participate in the movement. Muslim League, they refused to participate in the movement. Communist Party of India also condemned the movement. They condemned the movement as it would weaken the British government in its struggle against fascism. British government was fighting against fascism, so that would be weakened due to this. And Hindu Mahasabha also condemned this movement. So Muslim League, Communist Party of India, Hindu Mahasabha, they did not participate in the Quit India movement. Okay, so anyhow Quit India movement started, spread. Okay, now which were the important centers where the movement was very much aggressive? So some of the districts are given over here. 5 important storm centers of the movement. 5 important storm centers of the Quit India movement. Like districts of Bhagalpur, Hazaribagh and Saran in Bihar. Okay, Bhagalpur, Hazaribagh and Saran, Bihar. That is in the Bihar. These three districts were very much aggressive with the Quit India movement. In Uttar Pradesh, district like Benares, Gazipur, Balia, Azamgarh were the storm centers of Quit India movement. In South Bengal, okay, Tamluk in Midnapur, that is in South Bengal. District of Balasore, Korapat and Talachar in Odisha, and Nasik and Satara in Maharashtra. These were the important storm centers of the Quit India movement. Here the people, they participated in the Quit India movement with full effort. Okay, so this is all about the storm centers. And what about the movement been supported by socialist leaders like Jai Prakash Narayan, Ram Manohar Lohia? Though they did not come up openly, so Jai Prakash Narayan, Ramanand Misra, they managed to escape from jail anyhow. The most daring act was establishment of Congress Radio, and through the underground radio, okay, Usha Mehta was the one who announced. She was an announcer. She guided the people to continue the Quit India movement, and the message was given through the radio. So these were the contribution of the Congress Socialist, Jai Prakash Narayan, Ramanand Misra, okay, and even Ram Manohar Lohia, Aruna Asif Ali. They were the socialists. They gave full support to the Quit India movement. Though they were hiding, and through underground radio, they supported the Quit India movement. Now, let us now try to discuss the phases of the Quit India movement. First, second, third, and the last phase. What happened in the first stage? In the first stage, as it is mentioned by Sumit Sarkar, one of our renowned historian, that the movement started in urban areas. In the first phase, movement started in urban areas, and it was followed by hartal, procession, demonstrations, strikes. Okay. In which schools and schools and colleges and offices were shut down, were boycotted. Working class in number of industrial towns went on strike. Some of these industrial centers were Bombay, Kanpur, Jamshedpur and Ahmedabad. But in most of the centers, the strike did not last long, except in Ahmedabad. Okay, and in the second phase, the lead was given by the rural people, rural people. The people of Tamluk in Midnapur, okay, Eastern Bihar, Western UP, especially Banaras district that we have discussed, the storm centers. There the movement was led by the people of rural areas. In the third phase, that is roughly around September 1942 onward, the movement was controlled by the revolutionary leaders. Okay, the underground activities started. Jai Prakash Narayan, Ram Manohar Lohia, Ramanand Misra, they escaped from the Hazaribagh jail and organized the underground movement. Okay, and in Bombay, Aruna Asif Ali of the socialist group carried underground activities. And speaking over the Berlin radio on 31st August 1942, Subhash Chandra Bose described the movement as a non-violent guerrilla warfare. Even at that time, where was Subhash? Subhash Chandra Bose was not in India. He was in foreign country. He was in Germany at that time. That we'll discuss later on why he had gone to Germany. He wanted to get the support of German people against the British government. Okay, so this is all about the Quit India movement being described in different phases. And in the last phase, what happened? In the last phase, movement though continued till 1944, it started to slow down. And at that time, Gandhiji was released from the jail. Revolutionary created a Tilak Day and Independence Day also. Gradually, this historical movement of the Indian people came to an end. Finally, the movement came to an end. Though it managed to shake the very foundation of British Empire in India. Now, what were the causes of the failure? Why did the Quit India movement come to an end? Very simple, my dear. Important leaders like Gandhiji and others were arrested. Movement was completely leaderless. The movement was continued by the local leaders. The organized movement was not seen. Central leadership was missing. Okay, there was no one to guide them properly. So naturally, the movement was completely scattered, and it lost its force. So again, it has been mentioned that in order to start a movement, extensive preparation was required, which was not at all seen over here. Okay, leaders decided the plan, they decided the movement, and the next day they started the movement. 8th of August, they decided to go for a Quit India movement, and next day, 9th of August, leaders were arrested, and then everything was a mess. There was no preparation started by the Congress, because to start extensive movement, a movement to free the country, extensive planning was required, which was not at all done. And then Quit India movement also failed because many of the Indians, like the rulers of native states, army, police, higher government officials, remained faithful towards the British government. Okay, they were faithful towards the British. They did not join the Quit India movement. Muslim League, as you know, they did not join the movement. Hindu Mahasabha, they also did not join the movement. Communist Party of India, they also kept themselves far away from the movement. Okay, and then other things we may discuss that the movement was ruthless repression of the authority. They ruthlessly suppressed the movement. Like they started arresting the people. Detention was started. Firing, burning of houses, flogging and other stuff continued, and due to that many of the people, they lost their courage, and then they surrendered also. Okay, and then finally during the British government also took the advantage of the wartime press censorship. During the wartime, press was completely censored, so whatever was happening in India was completely kept hidden from the press. Press was not at all allowed to cover the movement properly. Otherwise, if it could have been done, then it was very much clear that British government is fighting against fascism, to end fascism, but what they are doing in India, they are dominating the Indians, suppressing the demands. So all this thing became very clear that press was completely censored during those during the war time, so they could not cover the movement properly. So finally, Quit India movement failed. But the significance of the movement also, we need to keep it in mind that it became successful in shaking the very foundation of British Empire in India. Now the British government was very much clear that the spirit of the Indians they have seen. So it was very much clear that the days in India are few. Their days in India are numbered. So anytime the people can again start a movement, and they cannot at all stop the fighting spirit of the people of India. Okay, so now there was a clear clear idea being instilled in the minds of the Britishers that the people who are out to start the movement or are ready to die for the country cannot be stopped again in future. So it revealed that fear of mighty British Empire now has disappeared from the minds of the people. Now they don't have any fear of the British government, so they are ready to do anything to any extent. So this fear was instilled in the minds of the British government that the days in India are very few. Okay, but the significance, we can say that during this movement it created a public opinion also. Many of the foreign countries like America, China, they specifically influenced by the tide of revolution. Okay, they started to favor India. The American President Roosevelt wrote to the Chinese Prime Minister that the best policy for the English would be to grant grant independence to the people of India as soon as possible. So now the foreign support also now was seen, and with that the way towards freedom was opened. So this is the end of the part which I started today. It was all about national movement during the Second World War. Okay, so all about Lahore session of Muslim League I taught you. Then the coming of Cripps Mission. Why was the Cripps Mission rejected? What was the reaction of the Congress against the Cripps Mission? Muslims' reaction, and the adoption of Quit India resolution, spread of the movement, which were the storm centers where the movement was very, very aggressive. Then I discussed about the phases of the Quit India movement. Then causes of failure, and then the significance of the movement. This is all about the part coming to an end. Okay, so in the next class I'll be teaching you about Subhash Chandra Bose. It will be a very short discussion, and with that we'll continue with the transfer of power from 1945 to 1947. Okay, so this much for today. Hope you all have understood. You all have understood the topic. So if you have not understood, you can just comment in the comment section. And still, if you feel that you can contact me, you have my contact number is with you. You can contact me at any time. Okay, feel free to clear your doubts. So once again, thank you very much for watching the video. If you have not watched the previous videos, please watch it, and we'll start a new chapter in the next class. So till then, take care, stay safe, bye bye.